Welcome to the adventure show from the Strathpuffer.
This month we're at the Strathpuffer 24. 24 hours of extreme mountain biking. It's a gruelling endurance event like nothing else in Scotland.
Having the time of my life. Where else would I rather be on a Saturday?
The competitors can choose to race as a quad, a pair or a single for the most masochistic. The best of the riders will do about 25 laps, 250 kilometres of riding, night and day.
Yes, and when does it happen? In the heart of the Scottish winter. 17 hours of darkness in this race. It's tough, it's hard, it's difficult. It's the Strathpuffer.
Why do I do this? Every year. I always say no, but I always come back.
Also in this month's adventure show, we discover how an overweight doctor turned to cycling to save his life.
It took me almost 2 years to be able to finish a 45-minute spin class, and I cried when I finished. It was such an emotional experience.
And we'll be heading into the Scottish mountains with Cameron McNeish, who proves you don't need to spend a fortune to have a great day in the hills.
I've got all this kit here for £96.95. But is it any good?
But first to the Strathpuffer 24. We're about 20 miles northwest of Inverness, and this is the 8th year of the event. It's 24 hours before the start of the race. I'm going to ride the course to see what the competitors are going to have to face. Joining me is Steve MacDonald, the man responsible for turning a crazy idea into an internationally acclaimed event.
This week has been the big debate, ice tyres or not ice tyres. Depending on how wet it gets or whether it freezes, it might not be an advantage to have ice tyres.
Safety first, push.
I almost feel sorry for them.
This I remember very well. Ah yes, this bit here, which I've never ridden down ever, and I certainly wouldn't do today.
It looks quite dangerous. I think the safe option is the best option. Survival.
Exactly. I've been pushing my bike pretty much the whole course. Oh, why me? Oops.
It's slidey enough when you're walking.
Oh yeah. This is the pushing puffer, definitely the pushing puffer. Look at that, I'm walking slowly and still behind you. Lots of ice. Ah, this is an old friend right here. That's actually a fairly welcome sight at 4 o'clock in the morning, I have to say, because you feel like you're kind of getting around the course.
He's here cheering you on for 24 or 25 hours.
So competitors have to do a bit more riding on ice, they have to do a bit more climbing and a bit more descending before they get to the very end. It's very dangerous, very exciting, then you repeat 25 times, then you don't have to do it again for another year. That's the Strathpuffer. Absolutely crazy.
This is the starting hill for the race, and whilst it may be okay when you first set off, later on in the race it's an absolute killer. So the ones with the really worked out strategies park a little bit further up the hill, just so that they get a march on that cold changeover. You don't want your riders sitting down at the bottom waiting for somebody to come in.
Right, start looking for the prime real estate.
Dave Powell's a Strathpuffer veteran. He hasn't missed a single event and always competes in the hardest category of all, as a solo rider. He's come second 4 times, and this year he's absolutely determined to win.
Anything can happen in 24 hours, but you do stand on the start line thinking, I want this. If anyone else wants to win this, they're going to have to really beat me to do it.
Last year, Dave was leading by 20 minutes when he crashed. He came right over the top of this bridge, landed in the stream bed 5 foot below, and injured his back. His bid to win the 2012 Strathpuffer was over.
I mean, this race means pretty much everything to me, really. It's the reason I keep coming back. A little part in the back of your head is constantly screaming, go back out, you'll be fine, you can ride it off, and then you try, you do another lap or two, you realise that you're not going to get any better, and that you're just going to make everything worse if you carry on, so you have to call it game over, really.
It was game over in 2012, so there's everything to play for this year.
Face it in the right direction.
Last year's solo winner, Phil Simcock, is riding as a pair with Andrew Burgess, so Dave's biggest rival this year is a friend, Jason Miles. Jason is one of the best riders around, but even he wants Dave to win.
Yeah, it'd be good if you could win it, so then we could all just go, right, can we stop going now?
Jason and Dave aren't the only favourites in the solo race. They're facing stiff competition from Tim Mackley. Last year Tim wasn't riding but supporting his partner, the winning female soloist's Mona Petrie. This year, they've swapped roles.
I'm just going to give the abuse and get him on his bike.
Yeah, I'm handing over power to her this year. So.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just riding the bike. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Let her tell me what to do.
And in terms of these endurance events, in the middle of the night when it all gets a wee bit painful, is he the sort of guy who responds to a bit up the backside or gentle
It depends on the mood.
stroking of the
It
forehead?
depends on the mood. It'll either be abuse of stop being a kitten, get on with it, or it'll be like, don't worry, it's only a few hours to go. So we'll match to the mood, I think.
So when I come in, I go, it's really, really tough. And then she'll go, get out there, come on, stop being a kitten.
It's half an hour before the start of the Strathpuffer 2013. Yesterday we talked about how easy and fine the first part of the climb was, but overnight it's rained, the temperature has dropped, and this is just a skating rink. So how are you feeling less than half an hour before the start now?
Yeah, I have to say I'm pretty nervous. I did it as a pair last year and it really hurt, and I vowed I was never coming back. And here I am doing it as a solo.
My
It's
goodness.
just lunacy.
I'm here because I was bullied into it in the pub. It was a bit of a macho thing for a lot of us, and we all decided to do it solo, single speed, and now we're all regretting it.
I said, what's it like up there? I got the response, cold. That wasn't helpful.
Rather nervous, unexcited, but I'm all right. Yeah, ready to go.
And that's it, the Strathpuffer 2013 is up and quite literally running.
Go on, Alistair!
The Limon start, the support crew standing by. No point in sprinting though, there's a lot of effort still to be done. 24 hours of extreme mountain biking. This is a really grueling event. Lots of smiles on the faces just now, but they will turn to grimaces very soon. 2 miles of climbing at the start to get you nice and warm, and then 2 miles of technical riding across the top with all that ice, and then a beautiful descent back down to the start, and then you do it again, and again, and again.
And as this is an endurance event, the people in the front now may not eventually win the race, of course. Mechanicals, falls, keeping yourself motivated in the middle of the night are all factors here in this hugely difficult mountain bike race. The Strathpuffer is one of the toughest endurance mountain bike races on the calendar, the longest night ride race in Europe.
The big surprise in last year's quads contest was the performance of a team of 14-year-olds. They dominated the race, completing an amazing 33 laps to take first place. It was a sensational result.
I think we're all pretty decent at night riding, and we all seem to have really good endurance, so it was pretty good all the way through.
And the great thing about it is all the kind of seniors, the guys that were in the fours, they just couldn't believe it. They were so shocked to be beaten by you.
Yeah, they were, and we got a massive cheer on the podium as well because they didn't expect us to be that young.
Ben's looking to repeat that performance, but they've got 3 new members this year, and one of them is a girl.
I won the British mountain bike champs this year, and I went out to European champs as well, so it was all good experience.
That's in cross country, yeah?
Yeah.
And the Scottish as well, I understand.
Yeah, I won that as well.
Don't forget that one, yeah. And you've got your brother in the team as well. Your wee brother.
Yeah.
Is there a bit of responsibility of maybe having to look out for him, or is he tough enough to deal with it?
Hopefully he'll be tough enough, but if he needs help, I'll look out for him, make sure he's okay.
Yeah, I think we'll push each other on to be the best and win, hopefully.
So you're not starting to finish second or third, you're starting to finish first?
That's the way, yeah, from the start.
They've entered as the Scottish Youth Cross Country Quad, and they're off to a flying start. In the pairs category, Keith Forsyth and Steve Dees are being chased by Phil Simcock, who's riding this year with Andrew Burgess. Soloist Dave Powell is going like a rocket, determined to eventually win. But his friend Jason Miles is close on his wheels. Pushing them hard in third place is Tim Mackley, someone determined to make the very most of his weekends.
Just a great feeling when you go back to work on Monday to think you've done something a bit different rather than sitting around the house or whatever. Puts things in perspective for the rest of the year as well. I always think if you've done something tough at the beginning, then every race you do from then onwards for the next 12 months is easy. Whenever you're suffering, whenever you're suffering, it's easy. You just think back and go, yeah, it's not so bad.
This year, there are just 2 women solo riders. First up, it's Lisa Camphausen.
Hello, Lisa.
She's an experienced 24-hour racer who's already eating up the laps.
It's
riding really well, it's frozen, it's fast.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not too slippery?
Not many ice tyres.
Good choice, eh?
Yeah, no, I'm glad for them.
The other female soloist is Morven Mackenzie Fleming. Unlike Lisa, she's a newcomer to both 24-hour races and to mountain biking.
How you getting on?
Fine, thanks. Oh, it's bright sun.
Beautiful day, eh?
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
They're both local women, living within 20 miles of the Puffer course. We joined them earlier as they trained for the big weekend. First, Morven Mackenzie Fleming, who lives in Strathconnan.
That's Ruby's doing a chicken, isn't she? Oh, it's nice.
With 3 children off school with colds, it hasn't been the ideal preparation.
Only not even a year actually since I've started mountain biking, so I'm still a beginner really. Oh, it's chilly. In you go. Oh. It's normally marathons that I do, and I don't know, I just have to have a challenge to work towards. My training's quite sporadic. I've got a young family, I work part-time, so I've got to fit in training when I can. It's a mixture of running and cycling that I'm doing. I run with my little one in the day because I have to, because she's with me. At night I'll either go on the treadmill running, or I've got a turbo now, so I go on the turbo. And I get out mountain biking at the weekends when I can, really. It's my father-in-law. They're used to me in this, they're like mad women. I think using the trailer, I'm pushing my 2-year-old in it. So you're getting quite a good workout, especially on your arms, you know. You're pushing something, especially going up hills. I mean, that's a really good workout. Good for your quads as well, which is good for cycling. It's only 2 women that's doing it solo. I think a lot of people just think they couldn't do it. It's quite a male-dominating sport. It's all through the night as well, in the dark. I suppose it puts quite a lot of people off, freezing, icy conditions. I'm going to get a podium finish. It'll be the only time ever in my life in any race that I'm going to get on a podium, so yeah, that's good.
The other female soloist is riding her 4th Strathpuffer. Lisa Camphausen's German, but she went to college in Edinburgh and now lives and works in Inverness. Her aim for this race is to be the fastest woman and in the top 10 overall.
Just by chance I've found out that I'm actually quite good at 24-hour racing, and I started winning and sort of being on the podium quite a lot, and I thought, well, okay, you know, maybe I can take this a bit further. I went to the World Championships and came 5th, and that was pretty amazing. Like everything I do every day kind of revolves around training and how it's going to affect sort of my fitness and my skills and all that. Well, the door frame is like in case something like this happens, that I'm not going to immediately fall over, but I can sort of like tip an elbow against one side and then, yeah, not fall down. I guess I sort of got a lot of my base fitness from being a rickshaw rider, because that's how I used to sort of like earn my money when I was living in Edinburgh. And I was just really used to being out there at 2 in the morning in a gale, being rained on, and having to be cheerful and get customers to sort of jump in the bike and that sort of thing. So, you know, just riding a mountain bike around didn't seem quite as bad, actually.
Starting to feel it now.
The Strathpuffer 24 is a magnet for riders of all ages and abilities, and has transformed this part of Scotland.
I was born and brought up here, and many, many years ago, mid-January in the winter, absolutely nothing moved apart from the occasional hill walker and me trying to go ice climbing. But now the place has really, really opened up. It's an incredible thrill for me to see this. It's gone from quiet little Northern Highlands to the centre of mountain biking sport in the UK.
There's only a few hours of daylight left, and the top riders know these laps will probably be their fastest. This is where they can gain a real advantage.
You alright? Sorry, is that my fault?
No, it's alright, I just took the same line as you.
Psychologically, it's better to be out in front than to be chasing.
Had a pretty bad crash there in the first lap. Got a really bad dead leg. Felt sick for a while.
Not too bad. But, yeah, pretty icy though.
It's only the 3rd time I've been on a mountain bike, so still counts as an experience for me.
It's 11 o'clock in the morning and things still haven't melted out here. It's completely frozen. This road is now sheet ice with a thin strip that you can ride on. If you're offline, you're definitely going to fall off.
It's challenging, but it's good fun.
I just lost the back end. I'm not getting nice I lost the back end. I fell flat forward. I didn't hurt myself, just got cramped down, that's all. Sorry guys.
Right.
There you go.
It was a crazy event. You got to do something crazy in your lifetime, so you get older and older and you run out of time, so I thought, right, this is the year to do it.
It is just the most friendly, happy event, and it's just such a... It sort of epitomises everything about mountain biking for me, because it's quite... The course is reasonably technical. Whoa. And the weather conditions are quite changeable. And yeah, it's proper mountain biking. People either get it or they don't. A lot of people say, oh, you're mental, why are you doing that? And they just don't get it.
For the women's soloist, Lisa Camphausen is putting in some tremendous times, under an hour per lap. And first-timer Morven Mackenzie Fleming has no complaints.
Yeah, I'm playing tags. It's good. It was really icy and snowy to begin with, but it's kind of thawed out a little bit. It's still icy at the top though, but it's getting pretty muddy now. Right. So still a bit slidey, so I've got to be careful, but in the forest it's lovely.
In the solos, Dave Powell is building a commanding lead. Second, 4 times, determined to finally win the Strathpuffer, he's putting everything into this race. The pairs race could not be closer, with Keith Forsyth and Steve Dees just one of several teams in contention. Phil Simcock and Andrew Burgess are also up there, as are Robbie Wilson and Hugh Davis. In the quads contest, the Shire donkeys from Deeside have been pressing hard, but the Scottish youth cross-country team keeps pulling ahead, on track to beat their older rivals for a second year.
Oh, it's getting so much better. Like before, it was always really sketchy because there was a thick ice, but the ice is melting, it's getting slashy, so the descents are getting faster, the climb's getting more grippy, so it's just getting so much more fun.
We'll be back at the Strathpuffer 24 shortly, but now we're joining Cameron McNeish as he heads out on another journey in Scotland's hills.
I'm in Kinlochleven, just south of Fort William. And in 1906, the British Aluminium Company decided to build a smelter here, turning what was a tiny settlement of 2 or 3 farmhouses and a shooting lodge into a model village to house the hundreds of itinerant workers that were expected to come and work here. To provide the power for the smelter, the Blackwater Reservoir was created high in the hills behind the village. And I'm going to take a walk up there today to a little spot that's a poignant reminder of the hardships that those workers had to endure. The first part of my walk today is on the ever popular West Highland Way, but only for a short distance. The construction of the dam and the subsequent reservoir began in 1904, with 3,000 itinerant workers arriving here, most of them Irish navvies. The astonishing thing was these men had no idea what they were building, what they were creating, and they referred to the project as the Waterworks. For years I've been fascinated by the stories of these working class men who travelled the length and breadth of the Highlands, mostly on foot, to find this hard, brutal working projects like the Blackwater Dam. The pipeline over there shows roughly the direction we're going. We've got to climb up there. One of those itinerants was a young man from County Donegal by the name of Patrick McGill. And he was under no illusion about the type of men he was working and living with. He'd come to Scotland at the age of 13, worked in the summer as a tatty howker, and in the winter he worked in big labouring projects. And this is what he wrote of his fellow workers at the time. "We were men despised when we were most useful. We were rejected when we were most needy, and we were forgotten when our troubles weighed upon us heavily. Patrick McGill was a remarkable man. As a teenager working in the tatty fields and in the labour camps, he taught himself to write, and he eventually published some pamphlets which he took round the doors in Glasgow and sold to people for 2 and 6. Eventually he published his autobiography in the form of a novel, and it was called Children of the Dead End. And the finest chapters in that book are the chapters that dealt with the building of the Blackwater Dam with his great friends Carroty Dan and Moleskin Joe. For me, the most remarkable thing about Patrick McGill was how he reinvented himself. From a navvy to a respectable journalist, he became editor of a major newspaper and eventually went to work for King George V as the King's chief librarian. It's a remarkable transformation. All around me the landscape is wild and grand with the snow-covered Mamors away to my left, and yet I'm walking on a concrete highway that covers the pipeline that takes me all the way to the dam. For me, this is one of the most poignant sights in the Highlands. This tiny little cemetery with its 22 gravestones, remembering the people who died during the building of the Blackwater Dam. And these are not marble or slate tombstones. They're made of the material that the people worked with, concrete. And you can still make out some of the names in memory of John Mackenzie, Patrick Derry, not known. I'm fascinated by this gravestone in memory of Mrs. Riley, no Christian name, who died at the dam. Who was this woman in this male-dominated world? Was she a cook perhaps, or some sort of domestic? Who knows? Mrs. Riley. Well, here we are above the dam, and originally there were 3 locks here, and the workforce came and turned them into one vast lock, this huge lock that we know today as the Blackwater Lock. And of course the Blackwater Dam holding back the waters of the loch and just letting enough pour down this glen to operate the aluminium smelter at Kinlochleven. You know, not only is this a fantastic feat of engineering, but it's in a fantastic position. We've got the Mamors all on one side here, the Moor of Ranach away in front of me here, and just to this side I can just see Buccleuch Moor sticking up just into the clouds there. It's just a fantastic place to be, but it must have been a hard place to work. In his book, Children of the Dead End, Patrick McGill made quite an interesting observation on the hills that look down on Kinlochleven. This is what he said. Above and over all, the mystery of the night and the desert places hovered inscrutable and implacable. All round the ancient mountains sat like brooding witches, dreaming up their own story of which they knew neither the beginning nor the end. Naked to the 4 winds of heaven and all the range of the world, they had stood there for countless ages in their sinister strength, undefiled and unconquered, until man with puny hands and little tools of labour came to break the spirit of their ancient mightiness. But you know, that spirit of ancient mightiness in the hills remains, and it's sort of ironic that it's the aluminium smelter that's been run down and has gone, while the hills are still there, looking down.
Welcome back to the Strathpuffer 24-hour mountain bike race. They've been riding since 10 o'clock this morning, but the hardest part of this event still lies ahead.
We're just now approaching the last few hours of daylight, and this is where it starts to get tough. What faces these riders? 17 hours of night riding. You're on your own, it's dark, and you and just your turning feet.
And as day turns quickly into night, there's no change in the men's solo competition. Dave Powell is 20 minutes ahead of the next rider.
How's it going, Dave? Hi, alright so far. Time for some lights, I think.
Yet, there's almost 3/4 of the race to go. And in the quads, it was looking good for the Scottish youth cross-country team, but then this happened.
Oh dear. I was riding just up one of the last wee little lips and changed to a smaller gear, and it caught in and the mech completely bent. I tried to rip it off, but I ripped the hanger off. So I was carrying the bike back for a good near half a lap. Bit annoying.
Well, that's good news for the Shire Donkeys. They were in second place and now they're in the lead.
The team just ahead of us, some young lads who were much fitter and stronger than we are, have unfortunately had a mechanical, which by default means I think we're ahead now, which is no bad.
If there's no more mechanicals, I think we're strong enough to. Yeah, I think we'll go back. Maybe. Don't know how far we're back now, but it'll be a bit now.
And there's news that the Scottish youth cross-country team have had yet another problem.
Mark broke his rear mech, so Ben had to go backwards up the track to get the dib thing off him, and then Ben came back down, but as he went 100 metres up the track he snapped his chain, so he came back here to get a different bike, but it didn't have lights on it, so then I had to get my bike and go back out. Just from sitting I didn't have any chance, and then I was back out and now our whole thing got all muddled up and we dropped 50 minutes.
This is really now where the event begins. It's 11 o'clock at night, and this is normally when most people are going to bed, so your own personal body clock just starts to slow down a little bit, and it's from here until 4, 5 in the morning that the really tough ones will win the race, and the ones who are just feeling a bit more tired will start catching up, they'll start making mistakes. This is where the Strathpuffer really sorts people out.
Hi, Morgan.
Oh, hi there.
How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Not so bad.
Good. I'll let you past. I'm like a snail.
In the dark, Morven Mackenzie Fleming's finding her first Strathpuffer demanding. Not surprising for someone who's normally a runner.
Yeah, I saw you skidding a lot down there.
And this is what it's like for her.
I normally love coming down this bit, but I don't particularly today because it's muddy and slidey. I'm a bit scared of falling. I'm quite a wuss. I see terror. I see terror. How dark these woods are. Hope there's no bears lurking or bogeymen. I have to say, I'm not one bit scared of riding in the dark in a wood, but I suppose it's because I know there's lots of other stupid people doing it as well. If it was just me, I wouldn't be so keen. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. My lovely wee 3 girls will all be tucked up in bed sleeping. It's one way of getting out looking after your children, isn't it? Do a 24-hour mountain bike race. It's a bit extreme really though, isn't it? I'm sure there's easier things to do, like shopping, lunch and wine with some friends. It wouldn't be as exciting though, would it?
The other female soloist, Lisa Camphausen, is a veteran of endurance races, someone well used to night riding.
What makes riding night maybe a little bit harder is that because it's night and your body just wants to sleep and it's dark, it sort of becomes a little bit more easier to sort of get into a negative mindset and sort of feel a bit sorry for yourself and go like, oh, I can't do this anymore, it's too hard. You just have to sort of ignore that. Because it's dark and all you can see is sort of, the little bit that your light lights up in front of you, and you sort of feel very just in the moment, and you have to concentrate a little bit more. There's a really nice flow to it, and yeah, you just focus exactly on where you're going, where you're riding, and the little sort of like cone of light in front of you, just in the forest. It feels great.
A lot of the times you can feel quite isolated, which is quite nice. You're cycling around, there's no one around you. But then there's one point where a group of about 12 of us just seemed to bunch together for a bit, and there was just this train of lights running up through the hills, and it was quite fun to see.
Hello! I do like riding in the night, but it's really, really lonely once you're out there on your own, and there seems to be a lot less people out there than there would be during the day, and you're kind of in your own little world, and I don't know what it is that keeps you going, but something keeps you going.
This year's Strathpuffer 24 is tinged with sadness. There's always an element of risk in outdoor sports like mountain biking or mountaineering, and someone who's often featured on the adventure show recently lost his life. Chris Bell was due to race here today. Now his friends are riding in his memory.
Last week there was an avalanche in Glencoe, and we lost a very close friend of mine, my old racing partner, Chris. He was only 24, loved the outdoors, loved racing, and it just so happened that this was a week after, and the day that I found out, I thought that something good had to come out of something so terrible. We set up a website to raise some money, get sponsored for the mountain rescue teams involved, and the support of Chris's friends and family and strangers, the whole outdoor community, has been incredible, and we've raised a lot of money. Chris loved racing bikes more than anything else, and to be racing bikes in his honour, I think, is easily the best way to honour his memory. Chris's dad has made it clear that people shouldn't stop doing what they love because of an occasional freak accident. There's too much fun to be had in the mountains for people to miss out. I mean, playing in the snow in the mountains is dangerous, but it's too much fun to ignore, isn't it?
As the night wears on, the temperature falls and rain turns to ice.
Ooh. A lot colder at the top, icing over again, but still enjoying it.
There's a good 3 or 4 kilometres up the back that's been snowy. It was icy to begin with, and then it was mushy ice, and now it's hardening up again.
Oh, it's just a skating rink.
It was just a bit scary, The rain's hit the ice and just made it really slidey, and it's quite muddy now as well in some places, so that's quite slidey too.
In the quads race, the top 3 positions are so tight. Rob Brooks from the current leading team, the Shire Donkeys, doesn't know what's happening.
I tend not to look, but Ben's one of these internet bunnies, and he keeps reminding us whether we're seconds ahead or behind. How are we getting on? We're winning. Yeah, we're winning. Great. Not any thanks to my last lap.
Here we go. Awesome, bang on time.
Trying to make up for time lost by those mechanical problems earlier, the Scottish youth team, a mixed quad of teenagers, are still determined to beat the all-adult, all-male teams.
We've got a girl, which is bad enough, and then we've got a 14-year-old, 2 15-year-olds. Fantastic. Yeah. Ben, did you hear that? We cannot lose to this bunch. If we do, good on them.
The pairs contest is equally tight, with Keith Forsyth and Steve Dees just holding the lead.
It's all about keeping the speed and momentum, but it's hard to do in the dark, if you because your sense of speed perception is different. So you have to practice that kind of stuff. We do a lot of it back in Innerleithen. Probably harder trails, so coming to this track is relatively easy, but when you add ice and the weather, then it makes it a lot harder and more of a challenge to get through.
When we last caught up with the solo riders, Dave Powell had a comfortable lead with his friend and rival Jason Miles second.
Yeah, Jason, how are you getting on?
Okay, yeah, a bit sore. It's quite tough because there's a lot of ice appearing. It's quite slick again. Luckily, I kept one of the ice tyres on, so I've not had to mess about. So yeah, we'll just keep plugging on.
But once again, Dave Powell's had his share of bad luck. He came off his bike during training and arrived for this event with an injured hip. And the night riding is taking its toll.
Basically, he crashed and landed on that side again and was just in so much pain. He tried to carry on for a bit, but he couldn't continue. He didn't want to give up, so he's gone back out there and he's picking up the pace now, and we could bring it all back. So it's a shame, but them's the breaks. I think he's crazy, but I know what he's like and he'll do anything. I've seen him put himself through more than this. I've seen him in a worse state. He'll just carry on and he always comes back from it. I don't know how he does it. I don't know where this energy, enthusiasm for it comes from.
Dawn is just around the corner, but these riders have until 10 AM to start their final lap. Right now we're leaving the Strathpuffer 24 for a short time, but we're staying on the bikes to discover how cycling helped save the life of one overweight doctor. Chris Oliver is a leading orthopaedic surgeon, but he's also a keen kayaker and biker. Last year he cycled 1,070 miles from Land's End to John O'Groats. But only a few years ago, this trauma surgeon was so obese he could barely get up a flight of stairs. This is the story of a man who's called himself Fat Boy Slim.
Well, I was trying to lose weight and carrying on a busy clinical practice, but was very, very unfit. I went on a business meeting to China and with my family, and we went to the Great Wall, and I tried to climb up 10 flights of stairs and just couldn't get up the steps. And I thought, I've got to do something about this. When I was a young man, I used to do a lot of sprint and long-distance kayaking. I was in early stages of being in the British team. My mother said, you can't do that as a career. And she dared me to do medicine, so I became a doctor. And as I went through medicine, I tried to carry on doing sport, and then when I did clinical practice, I put on lots and lots of weight. I just stopped exercising. You feel like somebody else and you feel trapped and you feel embarrassed, and obesity is just such a difficult issue to manage, and there's a lot of prejudice, and the public need to know how to deal with that. It's a societal problem, and I felt a massive part of it, and I wanted to escape. I wanted to turn back the clock, turn back time.
Chris was dangerously obese and had to take extreme measures. He had a gastric band fitted to reduce his stomach size, but for him, a huge part of his recovery came from a return to physical activity.
It was very challenging. I was pretty immobile initially. I started off in the swimming pool with aquarobics with a group of ladies. I was the only man there. That was interesting. And then I slowly went back to the gym and started to do spin cycling. It took me almost 2 years to be able to finish a 45-minute spin class, and I cried when I finished. It was such an emotional experience. And then I'd had a list of priorities about things I wanted to do in my life. Some things appeared that I just had no idea were going to happen. I never thought I was going to do triathlons, go back to whitewater kayaking, and then this year I'm cycling from Los Angeles to Boston, 3,500 miles with my daughter.
Chris's return to fitness is an incredible achievement. So, how was it that a successful professional, like a doctor, could end up so overweight?
I did really lose the plot with the work-life balance. I was working pretty hard, professionally achieving very well, passed too many exams to remember the names of, did lots of publications, presentations all around the world, and just really overcooked it and neglected my health. Oh, thank you. Okay. It was a wasted decade, and professionally it was great, but in terms of my work-life balance and doing stuff with my family, getting out, riding a bike, kayaking, I lost a decade. So you have to keep this on for a couple of days, just whilst this heals up, and then you can change the dressing after that. I think there's a massive misperception about obesity. There's a lot of prejudice, a lot of misunderstanding. People think obese people just eat too much and should change their diets and just lose weight. It's not as simple as that. You need access to good health advice, you need access to good exercise plans.
Chris has now lost 12.5 stone. His aim is to reduce his weight still further, but he's got another objective too, to help others achieve what he has. And who better to do this than someone who knows what it's like to be super obese?
The Scottish Government, with the National Fitness Champion, Dr. Andrew Murray, we're interested in implementing a national physical activity pathway across Scotland. And this has already been done in general practice, and we're looking towards implementing this pathway into secondary care, into hospitals. So when you come to hospital, you're probably going to get asked about your levels of physical activity, how much exercise a week you're doing. And the target from the Scottish plan is that you do 30 minutes of exercise up to 5 times a week. A lot of people don't recognise me anymore. My patients don't recognise me. They do a double take and say, "Is that really you, Mr. Oliver?" I had a colleague who was at a meeting and said, "Do you know Mr. Oliver from Edinburgh?" And I said, "Well, I am Mr. Oliver." So my identity's changed as well. I just think, well, I'll have a go at that. I'll have a go at cycling from Len's End to John O'Groats. I'll go and cycle across America. I'll have a go at doing that. And you find that with enough determination, willpower, you can do these things. And I wish that other people would try and emulate me.
And if Chris Oliver can do it, there's hope for everyone who's trying to control their weight. Right now, we're rejoining Cameron McNeish as he discovers that you don't have to be wealthy to have a great day in the hills.
Way back in the days when Adam was a boy and I was first going to the hills, I didn't worry very much about what I wore, what my clothing was like. We bought most of it from Army Navy stores, and as long as we were warm and reasonably dry, we certainly didn't care what we looked like. But that's all changed now. And I've really just realised that the kit that I'm wearing, the clothing I'm wearing, from my boots to my base layer to my waterproof jacket, my hat, add it all up and it comes to about £700 or £800. That's an awful lot of money. A number of people have written to us at the Adventure Show and asked us why, when we do our equipment tests, do we concentrate on expensive equipment? And it's a very good point. So I've been set a challenge. Can I clothe myself from head to foot for 3 seasons walking for less than £100? I've done it. I've got all this kit here for £96.95. But is it any good? Well, the only way to find out is to try it. So excuse me while I do a quick change. There we go. Doesn't look too bad, does it? And you know, it doesn't actually feel much different from what I was wearing before. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so we'll have to go for a walk. And it's really by walking we'll find out how comfortable it is and how effective it is. So what are the downsides to budget gear? Well, I think there are 3 or 4 major issues. And the first one is weight. Budget gear will inevitably be heavier than more expensive gear. But you know, that won't be an issue for everyone. Next issue is fabrics. Now, cheaper fabrics are not going to perform as well as more expensive, more specialised fabrics. And a good example of that is these trousers. They're polycotton, and I don't know how long they'll take to dry when they get wet. Quite a long while, I suspect. My jacket, which is a sort of 2-in-1 with an attached fleece, is very warm, and I've no idea just how breathable it is. You know, I reckon there are 3 types of outdoor person. There's the person who buys expensive stuff and wears the labels like a badge of honour, as though they were saying, I've spent a lot of money on my chosen activity and I want everybody to see that. And then there's the person who is an out-and-out gear freak, the people who know the weight of every item, what every fabric is, how it's made. And then there's the person who just likes to get out there. They don't really care about gear. They maybe buy a jacket the last 10 or 15 years, and as long as it's working, they're quite happy. And I suspect there's something of all three types in every one of us.
I know I'm always keen to save some cash, but what about a woman's perspective? I've arranged to meet Cathy Grindrod from the Scottish Avalanche Information Service. It's work that means she really puts her clothing to the test.
Well, Cathy, did you manage to beat my £96 for the full wardrobe?
Well, you beat me there, Cameron.
How much did you spend? Come on, tell me.
A little bit more, about 135.
Well, that's not bad.
Thereabouts.
I have to say, you look an awful lot better than I do.
Why, thanks.
I believe you got most of your gear on the internet.
And I didn't get everything. I didn't get my boots, because I think you need to try boots on, really. They're a Vibram sole. They were £30. Yeah, they were in a sale. But I've been walking up the glen, and they're actually really comfortable, and they're quite grippy, and they're warm.
Well, I was in a shop and I saw these trail shoes for 15 quid. Then I noticed all the pink bits, and the guy says, I think that's actually a ladies' model. But who cares?
Especially love the pink laces. You suit a bit of pink, Cameron.
Appeals to my feminine side.
Yeah, definitely.
Cathy, I have to say, of all the items of gear you've got, my favourite is the hat.
Well, do you know what? It said on the label, age 4 to 6.
Were you surprised at some of the prices you could get gear for?
I was actually, yeah. I mean, it's a funny thing because you know that somewhere along the line somebody's not making a profit, but it's amazing what you can get when you look around on the internet or in a lot of these shops.
Cathy, I must admit, when I bought this stuff, I kind of went for the cheapest stuff I could find that I thought would do a job for me. How important for you were things like colour and fit and whatnot?
Well, I have to say, when I was choosing a jacket, the fit, certainly I needed the right size, but I saw the colour of one jacket and I just thought, no, I'm not buying that.
You couldn't live with that?
It was a lot cheaper than this jacket, but no, I just couldn't wear it. Colour makes you feel good when you're out.
Doesn't bother me.
You're a man.
So Cathy, what do you think of this gear? Will you wear this again?
I certainly wouldn't wear it on the Cairngorm Plateau in the winter time.
No.
But I'd be very happy wearing it in the summer, hill walking in Scotland. Yeah, it's very
I would
comfortable.
too. Yeah, I feel fairly comfortable. I'd be quite happy wearing it in summertime, maybe early autumn, spring, as long as it's not too cold and too wet. But all in all, for budget gear, for less than 100 quid, it's all right.
It's not bad, is it?
To find out more about this budget gear and all the Adventure Show news, follow us on Facebook.
Morning!
Welcome back to the Strathpuffer 24, where the long hours of darkness are finally over.
When the morning comes, it's really nice. You sort of through, you'll make it. You've done the race, even though you haven't finished. You know you'll make it through once the sun rises.
For those riders that have managed to get through the night, this is a very welcome sight, the rising of the sun. Now, unexpectedly, they have a quick burst of energy and a charge towards the end of the race.
It's been brilliant, really enjoyed it. I'm in one piece. If I could manage one more lap after this, I'd be over the moon.
But they have to keep going, it's not over yet.
The night was pretty wet and miserable, and when you get to the fire road there, it's just sheet of ice, just glass. Even with ice tire in the front, the bottom of the bike's just sliding about, but it was still enjoyable.
At the top of the course, there's a mixed response to riding through the night.
You get a lot of good footage of Strathpuffer. Lovely morning for it, isn't it?
Bleak. I managed to get 2 or 3 laps in through the night, but it was pretty bleak. I've had enough. Time to go home.
See you later.
Good, I can see.
They always say never again. I will confer with that at the moment, but you never know, I might be back. Good fun.
The 2 women soloists in this year's event are still going strong.
Glad it's nearly over.
Experienced Lisa Camphausen is on track for her top 10 finish, whilst Morven Mackenzie Fleming has nearly completed her first ever Strathpuffer 24.
Yeah, it's been good. been quite tough. Tough in the middle of the night, and it was very, very icy. But it's the last lap, so I'm taking it easy. I don't have much energy left. But it's been good, yeah, great support and everything, so really good event.
Dave Powell's nighttime crash means he's currently in 3rd place for the solo men. He's trying to make up time, but this has been a huge disappointment. It's good news though for Dave's training partner Jason Miles, who right now looks to have an unassailable lead.
You'll have done 28 laps. Nobody can catch on 28 laps. They can't do another 3 laps.
You concur?
They can't do 3 laps now, can they, before the finish?
For the Scottish youth cross-country team, it's been a difficult night, clawing their way back to 2nd place after a series of mechanical problems.
I got about an hour and a half sleep. Came out of that onto the bike and felt really bad, but it's been alright. A bit unlucky we've had, but it can happen to anyone. Good riding though.
So what was it like being woken up in the middle of the night?
Absolutely horrendous. It was like confusing and cold, and I felt ill. I didn't want to go out, and I was grumpy. I didn't know what time it was. I didn't know what was going on. It was awful.
The closest contest is the pairs race, where just seconds separate the top 2 teams. Robbie Wilson and Hugh Davis are battling it out with Steve Dees and Keith Forsyth.
We've had a couple of mechanicals there during the night, and we had a good lead at one point, and these things happen.
Well, I mean, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. There's a bit of
yeah.
time to go, and they can always have something.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Steve's crank fell off in the last lap.
So we're about 25 minutes away from the cut-off of 10 o'clock. You can set off on your last round if you leave before 10 o'clock, but not after. And some of the teams have to make that difficult calculation. If they're on the cusp of doing their rounds in about an hour, they'll make the decision then. Will they go, won't they go? All about strategy now, but for some, it's the end.
Finish! Yay!
It's the end of the final lap for Morven Mackenzie Fleming.
Pain. But it's finished, and I survived.
She's kept going throughout the 24 hours and completed 11 laps.
It went much better than I thought. I did one more lap than I wanted to do, so I'm really pleased about that. I'm just pleased that I survived in one piece, and you know I managed to do it, so I proved to myself that I can do it. So anyone can do it if I can do it. We need more women, come on. Come on ladies, next year.
A full lap ahead of his nearest rival, there's good news for soloist Jason Miles. No one can now beat him, so he doesn't need to go out again.
Congratulations on an amazing, amazing performance in the solo riding.
Thank you. Yeah, I am over the moon, but also at the same time, it's kind of a bittersweet thing because I'm gutted for Dave. Genuinely gutted for Dave because he's not just another person out on the course, he's a close friend, you know, and I know how much this race means to him.
I think that's an amazing sporting compliment to a really good mate.
Well, yeah, we all wanted Dave to win, really, but you know, I'm sure Dave wanted to win as well. But it's just one of those, isn't it? You know, he had an accident and had another crash out on the course, which aggravated it. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm just completely and utterly destroyed now. So, yeah, that was exceptionally difficult. Yeah, I don't know how many laps I did. It was 28 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. So it hurts more when I think of that, actually.
Now the race is on for second place in the solo competition. Dave Powell knows he can't match Jason's winning ride, but has he done enough to beat Tim Mackley for second place?
Morning, how are you?
What's the time?
Tim decides there's time to fit in a final lap, and that's bad news for Dave.
Yeah, I'll do one more.
It means he finishes behind Tim. So confirmation of those final results for the soloists. Dave Powell comes in third with 27 laps. Second place goes to Tim Mackley, again 27 laps, but his time was faster. And the solo winner of the 2013 Strathpuffer 24 is Jason Miles, who completed an amazing 28 laps. Top female soloist Lisa Camphausen completed 24 laps. She's not just the fastest female, but takes 6th place overall. What a race it's been for her.
I was kind of aiming to come top 10 in the men's, and but yeah, I didn't know I was going to manage to come. Like 2 years ago, I managed 18 laps, and today I did 24. So like that's a huge improvement. So it just went really, really well.
After 24 hours of racing, the pairs event saw just seconds between 2nd and 1st place. In 3rd place are Phil Simcock and Andrew Burgess, who completed 32 laps. Keith Forsyth and Steve Dees came in 2nd with 33, but Robbie Wilson and Hugh Davies managed to beat them to take 1st.
So guys, congratulations on winning the pairs.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the 5th time I've done this.
Yeah, there's always going to be another one,
I've
isn't there?
done every category so far. So I've done the pairs 3 times, a quad and a solo, and that's me. I'm done.
Obviously, you've got your support team. How important is it that these guys helped you through it?
They were huge. They were a legend. They're brilliant. James was our mechanic. Jason was our chipper guy. Kept us going.
Cups of tea, made the pasta.
Yeah. The banter was really good in the van. It was really, we had a good laugh all the way through. It was really good.
No, I didn't. I was crying.
In the quads race, the top 3 all completed 36 laps, so it was nail-biting action to the final minute. 5 Star Racing came in 3rd with a time of 24 hours 29 minutes. 5 minutes faster, and despite those mechanical problems, the Scottish Youth Cross Country team came in 2nd. It was a great effort, but not quite good enough. 17 minutes ahead of them, the Shire Donkeys of Deeside took 1st place.
So gentlemen, congratulations on winning the quads.
Thank you very much.
And you did the last lap. How was the last lap?
Just like all the others, loads of ice and loads of mud, and I just want to finish, you know, it's going through your head saying just got to stay upright, because if you make a mess of it, break a chain or have a big mechanical, we could lose it.
So did you come to the event thinking you had a good chance of winning the quads?
We kind of hope we might win, but you just never know who's going to turn up at these things. You know, there's obviously some pretty good riders, and we don't really race mountain bikes that much, so we don't know, you know, what the sort of scene's like. So you just don't know till you get here, and then even then a lot of things can go wrong, you know, in the middle of the night and stuff. So we were pretty fortunate. We didn't have any major mechanicals, no punctures, so we're pretty lucky.
A long event. Last one though, so I'll be glad when this is over. Woo!
Well, that's it from this month's Adventure Show, and well done to all the muddied and bloodied competitors of the Strathpuffer 24.
Absolutely, but that's not the end of the series. We have one more special to go, and again we're heading into the hills, but it's definitely not a jolly. We're joining the Cairngorm Mountain Rescue Team as they head out in some of the worst conditions Scotland can produce. Please join us for that if you can. In the meantime, from all of us here, thanks for your company. Bye for now.